What? Previously on. So now I start panicking. That's none of my business. iPad nowhere to be found. Hey crew, welcome back to my channel for another video. For those of you who are new, my name is Bridgette. I'm a New York City based flight attendant and I am going back to work. I had one day off in between the last trip I just worked, and now I'm on call for 3 days. I was awarded a 3-day trip. Initially, I was supposed to have 2 working legs today, LaGuardia to Atlanta, Atlanta to Newark, and it would have been my first time laying over in Newark, but they called me probably about an hour ago with a change in my rotation. Instead of working the flight LaGuardia to Atlanta, I'm deadheading, which pushes my report time up an hour. Luckily, I was arriving to the airport early, so let's just put out positive energy and vibes that everything goes as planned. And yeah, so still 2 legs today, working one, deadheading on the other. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the term deadheading, it is basically when crew flies as a passenger, but they're still considered working crew. It repositions you sometimes in the beginning, middle, or end of your trip, either to where you need to pick up the rest of your trip or brings you back to base. So that's my quick explanation, and I will see you guys in the next clip. Hey crew, so I have made it to the hotel in Atlanta, and you're probably like, Bridgette, you said you were laying over in Newark. I did, and that's correct. But I can't remember if I told you guys that I was supposed to have 2 working legs today, and it changed to 1 deadhead, 1 working leg. And then when we were on the flight about to land in Atlanta, it changed to laying over in Atlanta because our flight to Newark canceled. So today, all I did was deadhead, and tomorrow we were supposed to do Newark to Atlanta, Atlanta to Houston. That has also changed. We are doing a Jacksonville, Florida turn out of Atlanta and then laying over in Pittsburgh, which I've never laid over there either. So that's my quick update for you. I'm about to go and get food. Once I come back, I will tell you about my wonderful seatmate on my deadhead flight. Nothing major, just a small little story, and I want you guys' opinion. So I'll see you guys in the next clip. All right, I am all dressed and ready. Nothing spectacular. Ew, why is the floor sticky? I just have on this New Balance shirt with some leggings and my layover shoes, which are Concourse. I hope you can see that. Time to go. I need to bring my mask. Hey crew, so I am back. I went and got pizza. Just a cheese pizza and some garlic knots. This is actually my first meal of the day. I need to stop doing this because it's not healthy and it causes me to get headaches. And then I got myself beignets. They don't look like beignets. They look like baby beignets, but once I finish eating, I will come back and tell you guys about today, even though I didn't work, and how the food was. So I'll see you in the next clip. Hey crew, so I have winded down, and it's still fairly early. It's only 9 o'clock, and I have a 9:15 pickup tomorrow, but I'm fairly tired. I have a bad habit when I know I have to work. I wake up early in the morning, and then I'm up all morning even though I don't have to be, and then I'm tired when I actually get to work. But to do a quick little crew debriefing, because you guys know I did not work today technically. I just deadheaded, even though that's considered working crew. I don't consider it working because I didn't do anything. I sat as a passenger. So Sorry, any type of lint or anything I see on the bed has me extremely paranoid. What was I saying? Yes. So because of the cancellation, I believe it was due to weather. It was raining in New York and also in Atlanta. Well, the first cancellation, I should say. We were scheduled to deadhead and then work the second flight out of Atlanta. There was weather in Atlanta as well. So that flight back to the New York area, which already had weather, got canceled. But the flight to Atlanta was oversold because the original flight that we were supposed to work got canceled. So, you know, it's people trying to scatter all the passengers from our flight to other flights to get them to their destination. And excuse me, you know, some of them probably had connections, whether they're domestic or international, they were going somewhere else other than Atlanta. So, the flight was oversold, I think, by 10 the last time I checked, and they were offering $500 the last time I checked to passengers to take a later flight in the day. And I don't know how that worked out. I know that I didn't have a seat up until boarding time, so I don't know how the logistics of that worked out. But we boarded the plane, and we're towards the end of the boarding process, and this gentleman comes on, and he's the window seat, and the middle seat and the aisle seat are already in their seats. So he's like, you know, excuse me, I'm in that seat. So they look up to acknowledge him because, you know, he's talking to them. And as they're taking off their seatbelts, he's like, no, you could just scoot over. Just scoot down. And they're looking at him like, what? And the girl in the aisle, that meant that she would now be in the middle. She's like, no, I want my seat. And he's like, oh, you actually want to sit here? Okay, fine. And then he's like, okay, well, I guess you guys can get up. I was like, sir, are you trying to swindle someone out of their seat? I don't know. I just found it funny. But the real thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is, before I tell my story, who is on my phone? Before I tell my story, comment down below who you think the armrest should be utilized by. The middle armrest is what I'm referring to. The middle seat person, the aisle seat person, or the window seat person. Personally, this is in my own opinion, which everyone's entitled to, I feel like the middle armrest should be for the middle seat people. Whether they lean on the left one, the right one, both if they're into that. And the armrests on the side of the people who are sitting in the window or aisle that they are only touching should be for them. So I got the middle seat, and the lady sitting in the aisle seat kept pushing my arm off the armrest, and I'm looking at her like, lady, where do you want me to put my arm? Like, it was just strange. And then you guys, that whole situation was strange. So comment down below who you think the armrest. I know it's shared space, and I'm not saying like I have my whole arm on the armrest. I just have like a little bit of my arm, so the forward part of the armrest was still available. But who do you think the armrest should be used by? I'm just curious. I said I was going to come back and tell you how the food was. The garlic knots were good. The pizza was mediocre, and the fake beignets were bad. That was a waste of money. But it was my only meal of the day, and you know your eyes are bigger than your stomach. I think that's the term. So I was just ordering everything. Enough of me flapping my gums. I will speak to you guys hopefully in the morning before I leave the hotel room, and let you guys know if there's any updates or anything like that. So have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, crew. Please excuse the elevator music. I'm on hold and I cannot miss this phone call. So it is day 2 of 3, and I wanted to tell you guys about the weird dream that I had last night. Okay. So I had a dream that I had vacation and I was able to bid those days off on my schedule. And then when I woke up in the morning, meaning this morning, they had put 4 turns in the middle of my vacation time. And I was like, what in the world is going on? Like, who put these turns on my schedule? Like, I was like distraught basically, or discombobulated. But that's what happens to me when I eat and then go to sleep. It was such a weird dream, but it felt so real. Enough of my dreams. Today we have 3 legs. We do a Jacksonville, Florida turn out of Atlanta, and then we do Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and layover in Pittsburgh tonight. So I will see you guys in the next clip. Hey crew, so I have just finished leg 1 of 3. We are in Jacksonville. They are cleaning the plane, and then we will be heading right back to Atlanta. So far so good. Everything went smooth. No, a non-eventful flight, just how we like it. And yeah, so I'll probably speak to you guys again once we get to Pittsburgh, unless, oh, I think I have a sit in Atlanta, so maybe I'll speak to you on the sit, but I'm not too sure yet. See you in the next clip. Good morning, crew. Please excuse my appearance. I am trying to multitask and speak to you guys, let you know how yesterday was, have a little quick crew debriefing because I did not do it last night. After I went and got food and talked on the phone, I just wasn't in the mood to come back on camera. So for the most part, the day was smooth. No problems with passengers. We had a lot of unaccompanied minors on our flights. Every single flight we had unaccompanied minors. And then I had to remember, you know, it's summer break, school is out, the kids are going to family or other parents depending on their family dynamic. But we have this one accompanied minor. He was very nice. It was the last one on our last flight to Pittsburgh, and he was so well spoken. He said he was a little bit nervous flying, so you know, myself and the other flight attendant that was in the back with me sat and talked to him for a little bit while we were waiting for, you know, boarding to actually like to ramp up. So he was telling us about like his travel plans for the summer with his family and where he's going internationally and stuff like that. So now the flight finishes and he's sitting in the back of the plane, and you know, we always have a little briefing with the unaccompanied minors when they first get on, letting them know, asking them, you know, is this your first time flying by yourself? Like, do you know the rules? So on and so forth. And one of the main rules is that they don't get off the plane until we get off the plane. So he was given that briefing, and we're starting to deplane the back of the plane, and I look over and I'm seeing him walking up towards the front of the plane. So I say really quickly, you know, not yet. And he, everyone stops and looks back, and he looks back and looks at me, and he continues to keep walking. So I'm like, maybe, you know, he didn't recognize who I was talking to. So I say it again, not yet, don't go yet. And he still continues walking. So now I have to raise my voice. I'm like, don't go yet. Do not go yet. And he turns around and he's like, who, me? I said, yes. You remember we had a conversation in the beginning. What were the rules? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, you can't leave without us. He's like, oh, I forgot. I said, it's okay. Just sit down in that row and let the rest of the people off, and then we will go off. He kept trying to walk. I was like, sit down. I'm sorry for raising my voice, but that's like one of my biggest fears, is having an unaccompanied minor on my flight and them walking off the plane and losing someone's child. Because even though I don't have children, I can only imagine the franticness a parent would experience when you think you're coming to pick your child up from the airport and the airline has lost your child. So that was a little story about that. I'm working backwards as far as my stories because that was the one that was fresh in my memory. But as always, I have written down what I wanted to share with you guys. On that same flight, And one of that flight, honestly, I can't remember. One of the flights I worked yesterday, I don't know if I told you guys I had 3 flights. We did Jacksonville, Florida turn out of Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Pittsburgh. But on one of the flights, a passenger comes to the back and he's like, I have a question. I'm not sure if you can answer it, but I thought, it doesn't hurt to ask. Which I said, okay, I'll try my best to answer your question. He was like, when I bought my ticket, I picked a certain seat, and now that I get on the plane, they've moved me to another seat. Why does that happen? I said, unfortunately, I don't know the logistics of that, but there's many reasons why that could happen. It could be an aircraft swap, meaning that the seat that you purchased originally, they're no longer using that plane, they're using a different plane, and they can't guarantee that you would get the same seat. But there's loads of reasons. He's like, okay, well, I thought it would help. It wouldn't hurt to ask. He's like, well, I'm claustrophobic, so if I go into a claustrophobia panic attack, it's your fault. And I said, excuse me? I have no control over the seats. I said, but what you can do is ask the person that is sitting in the aisle if they're willing to swap with you for your window seat. And he's like, no, it's on you if it happens. I was like, I didn't even know how to respond to that, you guys, because I tried to offer him a solution, because it's not our responsibility to go and ask that person, can they swap with him, because they paid for their seat as well. So that's why we always inform the passengers, you can ask that passenger if they're willing to swap. But also, if they say no, you have to be okay with that no. So that was a strange encounter. Other than that, he was fine on the flight. He was very nice during service, no problems at all. He didn't seem to have a claustrophobia attack, which I've never experienced what that entails. So, but I think, I would have noticed it if he did start to have an attack. Last 2 things I want to talk about. One is a public service announcement for all of my crew members who are passengers, and for relay the message to your friends, family, whoever you need to relay it to. So, just a PSA. When flight attendants are doing service and they've served you or they haven't served you yet, and you would like something off of their cart, please do not dig your hands on top of the cart, in the cart, around the cart to try and take stuff before it's your turn or after your turn without asking the flight attendant. If the flight attendant gives you the permission, cool, proceed. But if you did not ask and you're just being bold enough to dig your hands in something that has no dealings with you, please avoid doing that. So on one of the flights, I served this gentleman. He gets his snack and his water, and I'm then turning to serve the next people on the other side of his row. Mind you, I've served him everything that is possible. As I turn back around to get something for that person in the other side of his row, I see him digging through the cart. So I'm like, excuse me, sir, please don't touch anything on here. If you need anything, you can ask me for it and I will gladly give it to you. And he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. But I'm like, whether it's your first time traveling or not, think of it as wherever you work. Would you be okay with a patron, a customer coming in at your job, touching everything at your job without asking permission? 9 times out of 10, you would not be okay with that. So take that same mindset when you're out on the plane or you're in somebody else's workplace. Don't go touching stuff you weren't asked to or not permitted to touch. Okay, I've been flopping my gums for long enough. I do now need to start getting ready. So I will see you guys whenever I see you. See you in the next clip. Hey crew, so it is officially leg 3 of 3. I am in Orlando. So far so good for the day. And yeah, that's about it. I'll speak to you guys in the next clip. Hey crew, so it is a few days after the end of my on-call days, and I wanted to come out and close this vlog out and do a little crew debriefing. As you guys know, I was assigned a 3-day domestic trip out of LaGuardia. And the last day we had 3 legs. We did Pittsburgh to Atlanta, Atlanta to Orlando, Orlando to LaGuardia. Now that wasn't the original trip. The original trip, we were supposed to have a layover in Newark and Houston. And from the beginning of the trip, you know, a lot of things changed, reroutes happened. It's summer flying, the shortage in staff, all of these things have a effect on the operation. And as I always say, as a flight attendant, especially an on-call flight attendant, you have to be a palm tree and go with the flow and go with the wind. So we were rerouted the first day. That ultimately changed the trip in totality. There was pretty much nothing on the trip was the same from the original assignment except the last day. First leg, Pittsburgh to Atlanta, I don't really remember, so it must have been uneventful. Let me double check on my notes to see if there was anything that I needed to share with you guys. Oh, okay, so this is another thing I want to talk to you guys about, which I don't automatically assume people will know. But I hope that passengers, when they're boarding the plane, they're listening to the announcements being said during boarding, because they're there to help you out. So typically on the planes, and I want to say typically because it's not always the same or not always the case on every flight, if the overhead bin is closed, that is our way of telling you that it's full. So that's the indication that, okay, that bin is full, so the bin that's next to it that's open is available. Not everyone knows that, and that's fine. So multiple times throughout the boarding process, you know, we make announcements saying, ladies and gentlemen, if you come to an overhead bin that is closed, that is your indication that is full. Please use the next open overhead bin. Well, sometimes people aren't listening, or I don't know. So we're boarding the plane, and this aircraft tends to have problems with overhead bin space, and a few of the bins in the back of the plane have emergency equipment, so no bags can go in there. So they're always closed, and they also have placards that say no stowage, but do people really read the signs? No. So, you know, a gentleman comes on the plane, he's sitting in the window, so everyone in his row has to get up, and he's looking for a place for his bag, to be expected. So he goes to touch a bin, and I'm like, sir, if the bin is closed, it's full, you can use the next open bin. So the lady that was in that row then goes to an emergency equipment bin, and we were like, ma'am, if the bin is closed, it's full, but that bin is emergency equipment, nothing can go in there. So then she goes to a next closed bin. I'm like, ma'am, if the bin is closed, it is full. He can put his bag in an open overhead bin. She goes to the 3rd overhead bin, and this specific bin was giving us trouble closing. And she goes and opens it before we can get out the statement again. And we're like, ma'am, please stop opening bins. If they are closed, they are full. Even the passengers around us, we're like, don't open the bin, it's full, it's full. Like, I don't know if she was just like distracted, she was in another world, but that was a little funny encounter that we had on that flight. And then the flight Atlanta to Orlando was fine, no problems. And then Orlando to LaGuardia, we arrived almost an hour early, which didn't help me because I was not commuting home. Number one, the trip was not commutable on the back end. But number two, I had no plans of going home that night because I did have plans in New York. So yes, that is it, I think, for our crew debriefing. It was pretty much, for the most part, an uneventful go home day, which we love. And yeah, I think that's it. So if you've made it to the end of this vlog, thank you so much for watching. In the next vlog, I will be on vacation, so stay tuned to see where I go and what I do. So stay safe and see you soon, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye, you guys.